What is up, Auburn Tigers fans, and welcome into another episode of Auburn at the Voice of College Football. I'm your host, Blake Lane, and today we're here to talk about the Week 1 matchup for the Auburn Tigers. What does Athlon Sports Magazine have to say about the Baylor Bears, and where do they see them in the 2025 season? But first, if you could, please like this video, share it out on social media, and click that bell for notifications. So I thank each and every one of you for being here. Let's jump right in here and talk about the Baylor Bears, man. Friday night, August 29th, is creeping up on us. I really feel like Auburn is getting ready to go out there and make a statement, and hopefully they come back home with a big time dub. I think this people are starting to realize the magnitude of this game and what it means for Auburn right now and the current status of their program. This is year 3 for Hugh Freeze. We know this is go time. And look, the preseason polls have come out, and Baylor and Auburn are right there next to each other. So I think that throws a little bit more juice on this matchup. The winner, I've talked to a couple people. They feel like if Auburn wins this game, it could really propel them and to have a really, really fine season, possibly get to 9 wins if they win this game. We got to see how that offense clicks, right? But let's get in here and talk a little bit about Baylor. Last year, 2024, we know they started slow. They went to Utah and lost that game. And Sawyer Robertson, he did not play the first 2 games, but he was inserted as the starting quarterback, and they kind of turned things around, right? They did give up a lot of points on defense, but they ended up going 8-4 last year. They did lose 44-31 to LSU in their bowl game, but they went 8-5, and Dave Aranda was on the hot seat. And I think he kind of simmered those rumors and the things that were going around of would he be the coach to lead the Baylor Bears. And so they're expecting big time things. A lot of media people, talking heads out there, expect the Baylor Bears to have a really fine season in 2025. Some people even think that there could potentially be a Big 12 championship. Some people think with that there could be a playoff berth. So they have a lot of returning starters on offense. I think it's 8 total. And like I said, they got Robertson, one of the best quarterbacks in the country, coming back right there. So it picked 5th in the Big 12 by Athlon Sports. And I want to flip over here real quick to let you know who they have in front of them, which I think we can all agree on, like Kansas State, Arizona State. We know they had the playoff run last year. They got Texas Tech at 3, Iowa State at 4, and Baylor at 5. So those are 4 respectable programs in front of Baylor. I think you could interchange all 5 of those and mix them all up, and I think it would be a heck of a list. Either way you predict that order of finish from Athlon Sports. So they got Baylor picked to finish 5th, and who did they highlight on offense? Bryson Washington. Was a freshman last year, ran for 1,000 yards. He was first team offense in Big 12 projection this year, and they're expecting him to have another breakout year. And they got a guy right behind him in Pendergrass, I believe. I think he ran for like 650 yards. So they got a dynamic backfield. They got a 2-headed monster back there. And obviously, once again, to go along with Sawyer Robertson. And I know he is a big-time player. And last year, he was actually 14th in pass efficiency in the country. And like I said, missed the first 2 games of the season, still threw for 3,000 yards. I think it was like 28 touchdowns and only 8 picks, something close to that. So he's very efficient, very accurate, and he can do it all, man. He can make all the throws. And I think the NFL scouts are really falling in love with this kid. So the Auburn defense has a tough task on their hands. And another player on the defensive side that they highlighted was Keaton Thomas. He was projected first team defense. Last year he had 114 tackles, seven tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, and he even had a pick 6. So I think that's a guy that this Auburn offense has to worry about. And going over on to special teams, Palmer Williams, he was first team special teams projection and averaged like 49.7 yards per punt last year. So he was a weapon that really flipped the field for the Baylor Bears. And I know a lot of people don't pay attention to special teams, but I think we got to pay attention to Palmer Williams and what he can do with his leg. Maybe kind of, he could pin Auburn's offense back inside the 20 and make them go 80 or 90 yards. So we got to pay attention to him. Their bowl projection from Athlon Sports, they were projected expected to go to the Rate Bowl to play Minnesota. Yeah, the Rate Bowl. So Athlon does not see them winning the Big 12. And like I said, they got Kansas State and Arizona State in there as their top two finishers in the Big 12. So with the Rate Bowl, I guess they would go like 9-3, 8-4. I guess that's what Athlon's kind of predicting. I don't see a final record from Athlon anywhere in here. But let's go right here. The offense was ranked 20th in the country last season. So, like I said, a lot of people look at this Baylor offense and they think that they're just high flying, air raid, throw it around the yard. But we mentioned those two backs. Baylor loves to run the football. Can Auburn stop the run? And can Auburn put pressure on Sawyer Robertson? I think that's the key. And when you look at this matchup, everybody is expecting Baylor high-flying offense, Auburn stingy D, a top 30 defense last year. Who's going to break first? Then you flip that and you go, okay, Auburn offense, bringing in a new quarterback. We know they have the high-flying receivers. What's the running back room look like against Baylor, who, let's be honest, defense wasn't that great last year. They gave up a lot of points. We'll talk about that in just a minute. I think they were like ranked 81st or something like that in total team defense. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me there, but they were the bottom half of the Big 12 in almost every single defensive category. So I think that could be a bright spot for the Auburn Tigers. And I think Auburn has to go out there and put up points. I think you got to go out there and put up points and look impressive. Get Jackson Arnold comfortable at the start. Get him some quick, easy throws out there, and get him settled in. And like Hugh Freeze always says, confidence. Right? Get him confident and let this offense start rolling. Now, at the line of scrimmage, Baylor brings back 4 offensive linemen, returners. All right, I believe they bring back another one who played a little bit, but he wasn't a starter. So they feel good about their offensive line. Now, I think Auburn holds the advantage on D-line. I think they also hold the advantage with Auburn's offensive line. I think Auburn could dominate the trenches in this game. And I do think that could propel them to a dub. Now, I'm not saying that Auburn's going to win this game, but we all know it starts in the trenches, right? And when you have the upper hand, like everybody thinks Auburn has, that's got to be a positive sign for you. A couple of guys that they did bring in to help their secondary, Calvin Simpson Hunt. He was a transfer from Ohio State. He's a defensive back to help there. Marion Winston, an edge. I believe he come in from Oregon. So they're looking for a guy there to get to the passer. And Travion Barnes, he was all Conference USA at FIU last year, and I believe he's a linebacker. So they brought in some pieces to help this defense really attack the portal to kind of slow people down, man. So because they gave up a lot of yards and they gave up a lot of points, like we said. So one guy that I do want to highlight at wide receiver for their offense was Josh Cameron. He caught 10 TDs last year. I think it was like in here it said something about he was the first Baylor wide receiver to catch double-digit touchdowns since 2020 or 2021 or something like that. And let's keep this. Let's put this as a note. He was a second-team All-American punt returner. Okay, so once again, people don't pay attention to special teams. We don't really focus on it, but it's the third phase of the game, right? And I feel like you got to pay attention to things like this because, Auburn special teams it's broke our back in the past, and it always the 2013 national championship game that always highlights right there, and I feel like that was the turning point in that game. And look, Josh Cameron, 20.7 yards per return, and he had a long of 73 last year. So it seems like this cat can scoot when he gets the ball in his hands, and he's a playmaker. So I do want to highlight special teams on this episode, man. We got to pay attention to it. And it looks like Baylor is pretty stout right there in the punt return position. And also their punter. Like I said, it feels like he can pin us deep and flip the field for Baylor if they are struggling offensively. Now, talking about the Baylor defense, once again, they gave up 38 to Colorado, 34 to BYU, 43 to Iowa State, 35 to Texas Tech, 34 to TCU, 35 to West Virginia, and in their bowl game, like I said earlier, 44 to LSU. That's a lot of points, y'all. That's a lot of points. So I think Auburn's got to go out there and have a nice showing. When you look at all this, and I know they brought defensive guys in to help out that defense, and I know Dave Aranda is a defensive guru, but Jackson Arnold's got to go out there and have a really solid game and a really nice performance. Get these wide receivers, man. Get them out in space. Let them go make plays. Cam Coleman, get him on that post like at Texas A&M at home last year that night. Uh, get Eric Singleton Jr. out in space and let him work. Malcolm Simmons, if he's available, let him go to work, man. I don't think Baylor's DBs will be able to cover Auburn's receivers. I don't really know a whole lot of teams that are going to be able to truly cover Auburn's receivers. You could even go back to last year with some of these guys, and a lot of teams had problems covering them. So I do think that's another thing that sits in Auburn's favor in this game. And on the flip side, I do think Auburn's DBs will be able to cover Baylor's receivers. I do think Auburn's DBs will be able to stick them like white on rice. So I do think that'll be a fun matchup to watch. So it all comes down to Jackson. Now we're hearing reports out of practice that Jackson's holding the ball a little too long, and it's just it's at the very beginning of fall camp, so we're not really worried about it, right? We're not pressured or he's starting to feel pressure or we're worrying or crumbling. But that was kind of the same thing you were hearing from Oklahoma fans last year and Oklahoma media was that Jackson, he held the ball, and it led to either a strip sack or a forced interception or something like that. It kind of felt like he tried to do a little too much the more he held onto the ball, and it led to a turnover. So hopefully we can get that fixed. I know Jackson said the one thing that he wants to work on is chemistry with his receivers on the timing routes and everything. And if they can get that down, he will feel really, really solid about where this offense can go. So I think that's a positive thing for the Auburn Tigers. And I do want to go right back to special teams because I think Baylor's really loaded at special teams. And they signed one of the top kickers in the country, true freshman Rhett Armstrong. So that's something we also got to look at. It kind of seems like Baylor's, if this comes down and it's a close game late, they got the cards on special teams. So that was one thing that did stick out with me. I know the offense, high flying, they're going to put up points and everything. But special teams was one thing that really stuck out to me about this program. Now, one thing late that I did see is September 6th, they go to SMU. So out the gate, man, this Baylor schedule, I want to read y'all off this schedule. August 29th, Auburn. September 6th, at SMU. September 13th, Samford. All right, stay with me here. September 20th, Arizona State. Stay with me. September 27th, at Oklahoma State. October 4th, Kansas State. October 18th, at TCU. Y'all, they have a gauntlet of a schedule. Like, that front half of that schedule is kind of similar to the Auburn schedule. If they lose to Auburn, boy, Baylor could be in trouble if they drop this first one. Same thing with Auburn, right? I feel like both sides have similar amounts of pressure on them. Like, I really feel like this game is boiling down to it's like we're both in a pressure cooker because both of these schedules are ridiculous. Like, these front halves are nothing to play with. Auburn got Oklahoma, at Texas A&M. You come back home and got Georgia. Like, these two teams have front-end loaded schedules. And this one means the world, man. Like, the magnitude of this game, because Dave Aranda is he took the heat off his seat last season, right? But Hugh in year 3, if you lose this game, now the fan base is like, okay, well, once again, we went all summer long with hearing how much better it was going to be. And I'm not saying the season is over by any means because you haven't even played a conference game yet, but the fan base is going to start trickling down. And I know how it's going to go if Auburn loses this game. They're going to say, well, once again, you go out and you play a big-time matchup and you can't win. And I've seen a lot of people on Twitter, X, or whatever you want to call it. They say, well, this is Hughes Harson's Penn State game. This is equivalent to that. He's got to go out there and show us that he can win a big-time game. Got to go do it, man. And I think it also adds a lot of heat that their last game that they played was a Southeastern Conference opponent with LSU, and LSU clocked them. Now, they were in the game for the most part, but LSU got them. LSU almost put up a 50-burger. So Auburn can't go out here and look sluggish. You got to look clean. You got to look smooth. We're hearing that the offensive line is doing great things in fall camp. I think that's a positive. Like we've heard, Omar Mabson did an episode on him the other night. A freshman reclassified coming in, running hard. Some of the running backs are nicked up. Darrell Robinson getting his shot, looking electrifying. All that's great. You're hearing great things about the defense, how they're covering well. The linebackers are getting off. The D-line, they're like, all that is great, but you got to go put it on the field now, and you got to give us 60 minutes of A-plus football August 29th, Friday night in Baylor. So I am a little interested in how this Baylor Bears defense matches up with the Auburn offense. And, like we've said a million times, we all think it comes down to Jackson Arnold, y'all. I think that was the problem with the 2024 Auburn Tigers. And I think we all know that, right? I think Auburn struggled in the quarterback department, and they had a quarterback that lacked confidence. He lacked decision-making, and I think he was just gun-shy of just letting it rip, man, just going out there and playing. And I think he just didn't want to make a mistake, and then eventually it led to a mistake. And so Jackson can't do that. Whatever happened at Oklahoma, you got to flush it. You got to spin back. You're now at Auburn. You're getting a second chance. You got a clean slate. You're the guy. There is no Deuce Knight. There is no Ashton Daniels. There is no pressure on you to win this job in fall camp. Hell, there wasn't even pressure in the spring. So this is your opportunity to bounce back and have a year for the Auburn Tigers and revamp your playing career, revamp your draft status, revamp your high school glory days of what everybody thought you were as a recruit. This is the moment. This is the time. And that is why I think this is a massive week one matchup. All eyes are going to be on Auburn. All eyes are going to be on Baylor. You're going to be the marquee matchup on Fox, worldwide TV, baby. This is it. This is a big-time moment for the Auburn Tigers because I know, just like you, you're tired of Auburn getting pummeled by the media. You're tired of Auburn getting pummeled by these other fan bases and teams like Ole Miss and even Arkansas. They're piping up to you when they should not be piping up to you, and they shouldn't even be in the same conversation as you. So one thing I do want to get out here and read real quick is this was an opposing Big 12 assistant coach, y'all. And this is what Scouting with the Bears is what Athlon Sports had this written up. He said the offense clicked and it turned them around completely last season. They'll go as far as they can with that backfield, Sawyer Robertson and Bryson Washington, and could be one of the best offenses in the nation this season. Jake Spavital, their OC, I think he's great. Kind of been, back in the day, he was rumored with Auburn. The name was thrown around and all that stuff. Is a great fit there, and they can recruit the state really effectively using that scheme. Defensively, they were a mess, even with Dave Aranda calling it. But they've turned over the personnel and some of the assistants. This program is a good example of the shift going on in college football. They stuck with the coach and put the resources into a team, GM, and focused on NIL, and they're seeing the results. They could turn the corner and compete for the league title this season. So, there you go. There you have it. People are high on Baylor. People are high on Baylor. So, what is Auburn going to do? Are you going to clutch up? Are you going to go win a football game? Are you going to go put your name back in the hat as a premier football program in not only in the Southeastern Conference but in the country? And are you going to enter the top 25 in week 2? A lot on the line here. coming back home to Jordan-Hare Stadium 1-0 and being in the top 25, because if you beat Baylor on the road week 1, you're going to get ranked in the top 25. And I think that would be massive to come home to your fan base in Jordan-Hare Stadium playing Ball State at night, and that place would be absolutely electric, even though it's Ball State. No disrespect to Ball State, but I feel like Jordan-Hare Stadium would be absolutely rocking if you come back home 1-0 and ranked in the top 25. And I feel like people would start slowly letting off of the Hugh Freeze thing, the golf game, and the hot seat. You start 3-0, I think Auburn could jump out and have a great season. So that is why when we go back, you can go back and look at former episodes. I said this was the biggest game of the season. I even put it ahead of the Iron Bowl because there is so much juice riding on this game, man. The trajectory of Auburn football, this is Hugh's moment to take that leap. Drop in the comments your score predictions. How do you think this is going to go? How do you think Baylor offense matches up with Auburn's defense? How do you think Auburn's offense matches up with Baylor's defense? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear it. Even if Baylor fans, if you find this video, let us know, man. Like, we want to hear from you guys. How do you think this game's going to go? I would love to hear it. If you got a Baylor podcast out there that would like to hop on and discuss this game with me, let me hear it, man. I want to hear all about you guys' program. I want to hear about how you feel about Dave Aranda. I want to hear how you feel about this returning defense. I think the defense only has 5 returning starters, but like we mentioned, some of the guys they picked up in the portal, they feel confident about what they're going to put on the field that Friday night. So, like I said, big-time matchup, baby, and it's almost here. It is almost here, and we're ready for kickoff. So, once again, like this video, share it out on social media. Thank y'all for joining me. We'll see y'all tonight, 7 p.m. Central, live show. Let's get after it, baby. War Damn Eagle. I'll see y'all then.